Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Arise News analyst, Emmanuel Efeni, the Great Malabite.
Good morning. Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai.
Morning, sir.
Yes, we'll start the review with this day Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Tinubu vows to end Nigeria's over-reliance on borrowing for public expenditure. Sets 18% tax to GDP target by 2026. Nation's revenue generation falls below African standards, says Oyedele. Reveals Nigeria loses 20 trillion naira annually to tax system gaps. Pledges committee will get rid of multiple taxation. Yes, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if there's one thing, he has pedigree. You can say that for certain. He knows how to raise revenue. His record in Lagos speaks for itself. And yesterday, inaugurated the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms. That committee headed by Taiwo Oyedele, himself a guru in that field. And the targets, the projections are actually quite encouraging, and how this will be achieved, getting more people into the tax net, not necessarily increasing the taxes of those of us who pay tax faithfully. So I think it's a good way to go, that there are so many companies, persons out there who are not already in the tax net. And if these persons are brought in, the gap of 20 trillion naira annually will be closed, and that amount will come into government coffers. And the president is promising that with this trajectory, then the reliance on borrowing will be reduced. And we'll say kudos for the projection, but of course the actual work is in the implementation, and we'll see how the this committee will function, because some of the best brains in that field are in this committee. Now, if we look at the Punch newspaper now, the Punch newspaper, Niger, Ecowas plans fresh sanctions on Burkina Faso, Mali. UN talks fail. Ecowas leadership meet Thursday after botched AU, UN, US planned visit to Niamey. Over 100,000 IDPs stranded in Niger. Businesses grounded in Sokoto, Katsina borders. Tomorrow, the ECOWAS heads of states will meet to plan their next line of action concerning the ultimatum given to the coup makers in Niger Republic. But the guys there, the military junta, they are digging in, as it were. Whether the pains of sanctions, they are feeling it, but the citizens certainly will feel the sanction, not only on the Nigerian side, but also on the Nigerian side of the border, because many Nigerian businessmen who do their businesses, getting goods from Niger, taking goods to Niger, of course, will also suffer the brunt of these sanctions being put in place. And part of what ECOWAS will be discussing tomorrow is to extend these sanctions to Burkina Faso, Mali, countries that are in support of the military rulers in Niger Republic. Now, if we look at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, also the same lead story, ECOWAS slams more sanctions on Niger. Tinubu directs CBN to impose financial penalties on individuals, entities linked to coupists. Lift sanctions on Niger. Dialogue with Nigerian coupists. ACF, Council's regional body, Arewa Consultative Forum, having a different idea. And of course, many persons and experts are on the same page with Arewa Consultative Forum, that there's need for more dialogue and diplomacy should be explored to its fullest. And the military option should just be left somewhere under the table, as it were. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, the same lead story, Ecowas slam fresh sanctions on Niger. Junta rejects diplomatic overtures, names ex-minister prime minister. ACF wants sanctions lifted. No option taken off the table. Tinubu spokesman, we are pushing for negotiation, U.S. is saying. Of course, the U.S. also weighing on the side of dialogue and playing down the military option. Now, the story below the photograph in front page of Daily Trust. Labour passes vote of no confidence on Gbajabiamila's led committee. Yes, the committee set up by the president to look into the options to ameliorate the impact of fuel subsidy. Labour is saying the president should they don't have confidence in the Gbajabiamila-led committee because Gbajabiamila, as chief of staff to the president, seemed to be too busy to even convene meetings, according to Labour. They put that across when they met with the Senate leadership yesterday to look at the problems. And of course, they had listening ears from the Akpabio-led Senate yesterday. Now, the Guardian newspaper, fears of sovereign debt default takes toll on banks. Economic outlook, countries with the highest default as of 2022. Nigeria is ranked number 24 in that list. Now, if we look at the Nation newspaper, the lead story, federal government begins reforms to end 20 trillion yearly tax losses. And of course, the Blueprint newspaper also weighing on the tax story to end over-reliance on borrowing. Tinubu hints on critical tax reforms to meet Nigeria's needs. The Blueprint newspaper there. Now, the Leadership newspaper, and I think this will worry many Nigerians, maize shortage. Nigeria's $4.2 billion poultry sector on brink of collapse. Yes, we've been talking about shortage of maize. We have the land, we have fertile land. But how come these days we talk of shortage of maize to produce feeds for the poultry sector, subsector? Now, I'm sure this is one of the concerns that the president will be dealing with. The new agric minister will have his job well cut out. Apart from the 500,000 hectares of land the president has promised will be cultivated to deal with the issues of food security, there's also the headache of poultry farmers, which has been on for some time now. Now, the Daily Independent newspaper, over-reliance on borrowing for public spending over, the president is saying. But the story below the photograph there, Asman Air closes shop over forex charges, more may follow. We will soon return for operations. Asman spokesman, of course, the aviation industry having its own tough times there. Do they need government support? What manner of support? I'm sure the aviation industry players have been talking to the government. And the new aviation minister will need to also take a look at local airlines instead of talking of a non-existent Nigerian Air as we saw the last time around. Now, just the foreign newspapers quickly. We look at the Times of London. Weight loss drug can cut heart attacks and strokes. Yes, in a landmark trial involving more than 17,500 overweight people with a history of heart disease, those taking the drug, Wegovy, were significantly less likely to suffer from severe cardiovascular problems, including death, and of course, over a period of subsequent years of 5 years, compared with those on a standard treatment. While, of course, the independent newspaper, Britain imposes tougher sanctions on Putin allies following the outcry by the First Lady of Ukraine in a television interview a couple of days ago. Britain, the Foreign Office, has come up with tougher sanctions targeted at individuals and businesses in Turkey, Dubai, Slovakia, and Switzerland, who, according to the Foreign Office, are supporting Ukraine. Ruben, Rufai, and Ayo.
I know it's time up, but I just needed to say this. Look at the streets. Cars, almost no cars on the streets. Streets pretty much empty. Businesses are suffering. Businesses are collapsing. Look at the forex rate today. Something is definitely not working as regards managed flows. The black market, which is predominantly the market most people get their forex from, is going up to the 900s. Things are not working in this economy, and we can't afford to keep quiet. President, please do something about it. The suffering, the hardship is too much. Everybody is reeling from this. Businesses are not doing any better. Life is not any better. Please, do something about it.
Is the pain before the gain, according to the president?
Okay, well,
This pain is too much.
just simply, for persons who are worried about INEC, the electoral body in Britain just announced a technical glitch. For more than 1 year, some people, those they call hackers or hostile actors, hacked into the electoral register, and they've been using the information of voters for their own purposes. Although the suspicion is that this may be a Russian attack on the British database. So it's not only in Nigeria that we have all these technical glitches.
But this one was not on election day.
But the exact nature
It was
of
not on
theirs,
an election day, for clarity.
the exact nature of theirs has not been fully established, other than that some hostile actors got access to voter information. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Efele.